What's up, everybody? It's Rob with the Electric Playground. I am just getting back to work. Yesterday, I was at Stern checking out the new Star Wars Fall of the Empire. Great experience, amazing host by Stern. Took Dustin and myself in, and we had a great time checking out the game and hanging out with a bunch of pinball people. As I was thinking about what to do with this, because I took a ton of footage, you're going to see it throughout this video, how did I want to break this down? And with a little bit of extra time, Stern puts themselves in a position to get reviewed rather than just sharing some footage. So I thought it'd be fun to really do a deep dive on this and let you guys know, what I think. I want to talk about the game from that perspective, and we'll get into Pro, Premium, and LE as well. Let's go ahead and kick things off for the experience. We're going to jump back and forth here between some of me talking and maybe some of the video and interviews I did. We're going to try to keep this interesting for you. And Dustin, one of our team members at the Electric Playground, came along with me, and we did a little chat on the way up there. So to start off with, we'll just kind of tell you what our mindset was firsthand on our way up to see Stern.
First time for one of these, right?
Yeah, it is.
What are you expecting to see?
Well, I don't know. I've been really I've got this picture in my head of a Star Wars machine, and it's kind of blank. it's a dark colored machine. It's like,
do they spray paint Spike 3 in the middle of the playfield? Is that what's good? So we're gonna see this game for the first time. This is different than the last two that we did, D&D and Kong. This one, as most people probably know, there's been no reveal. We're going to walk into the room, and we're going to see hopefully more than what you just described.
So yeah, we were super excited to see this. Feeling honored to be able to see this game with our own eyes, not seeing any media beforehand. It's a pretty unique opportunity in the pinball space. What was different about this particular experience with Stern than the D&D and King Kong experience was we started in a conference room. We got a nice presentation from Seth and George, no video, but we basically got the same exact presentation that the distributors had gotten the day before, including some nice business information. They shared a couple details on how they're seeing the market growing, of course, some background on Star Wars and why this is important, and as well as some history of the games. They kind of noted, funny that they didn't make a game in the 2000s, but they did throughout the 90s and 2010s. Of course, we had the, I think 2015 or 2017 Stern from Steve Ritchie. And they talked a lot about, I don't know, it was kind of a humbling thing. I mean, they talked about some of the mistakes that have been made with Star Wars games in the past, or maybe some of the things they wanted to improve on. Specifically with their last Stern game, they talked about how the theme was very focused on space, and there really it didn't embrace the entire Star Wars universe. And of course, without saying it directly, they acknowledged that there's mixed reviews on that game. But whenever they went to the drawing board on kind of how to design this game, they wanted to get in a lot more theming. They also talked about the name, Fall of the Empire. So, not surprisingly, they had trouble getting this across the desk with Disney. I've had experience working with Disney, and frankly, I'm very surprised that they would let a new name come in. I mean, if you think about all the opportunities that Disney has for new books and new movies, ultimately, if you've been watching Andor, Disney is very focused on telling the story of the Fall of the Empire. I mean, the three original movies, episode 4, 5, and 6, were ultimately about the Fall of the Empire. Stern's argument for it was they wanted to not just have a game that was called Star Wars and 2025 Star Wars. They wanted a game that had a name. But what we found in seeing the game was that this game isn't like a new storyline. It's not about trying to tell a new story. It's just about the story of Star Wars and calling the game Star Wars Fall of the Empire, which I think ends up working really well. So we got a little bit of business information, a lot of growth they're seeing in Stern Insider Connected. They're, of course, continuing to see pinball grow, but they did acknowledge that the market for pinball is still small, especially in the eyes of a Disney and LucasArts. And that's one of the key reasons that it's not going to be available in European markets, is the European Disney market the decision makers there are just not seeing that, it's worth their time, because pinball isn't that big in Europe, and Stern is working to, or at least according to this conversation, working to grow pinball in that market. And of course, still trying to pursue getting it there. So there's going to be 777 LEs, and they don't know if they're actually going to hold over LEs for the European market yet. It's going to be based on kind of the timing. A lot of talk about Spike 3. Spike 3 is going to be an evolution. You're not going to see every aspect that is planned for Spike 3 in this game, but it sounds like a lot of it is around technical specs and the ability to improve video, sound, especially. There's a lot of new sound stuff in this game. Bigger screen, 36% bigger screen, which frankly doesn't look like 36% bigger, but I'm sure that it is. But definitely a bigger screen. You've got HDMI and audio out, which is a nice feature, as well as Bluetooth headphone connectivity, which is certainly far more important to most people. But overall, I think we're not seeing any watershed things other than no price increase. So that's a big deal. I personally believe that this launch would have been dominated by conversations of price increase if they would have done that. So they did acknowledge that tariffs and different things are increasing costs, but they're not doing a price increase. So that was certainly welcome. And then we got the reveal video. That was cool. You get your minute and a half video that you guys have probably already watched by now if you're watching this video. There is a moment in the video of a new feature, and that was the most exciting part. There was, of course, a lot of claps afterwards out of respect, but I think out of general excitement. We also got the John Williams score, so acknowledgement that the John Williams key score is in the game. And it looks amazing. I mean, I'm getting a tear of tingles, honestly. From a nostalgic perspective, this game really hit the mark for me because of the embracement of the Kenner outline for the toys. I mean, they used the Kenner packaging on the Costco Home Edition packaging, and they're really embracing it on the back glass of the game, and I think it looks amazing. They've got the LE, the Pro, and the Premium all share that artwork. But as far as the wow moment that I'm kind of skipping over, but you guys obviously know about now, is the Force ball save that kicks it through the ball save and into the out lane. And I did end up getting to experience that once. It actually is difficult to pull off. I'm sure I can pull it off better. But there's kind of two aspects of it. There's the ball going out of the left out lane, going across the apron at the bottom, and then kicking back over into the shooter lane. And there's another where you can actually get it to kind of like typical magnet style, like kick around and kick back up. I wasn't able to execute that one, but I did see the ball do that. Going back broader level, there's some amazing, just kind of first impressions. The artwork is, it's not Franchi level, and that's a thing now, Franchi level art. But God, he's earned it, right? The artwork is not, though, a comic book style and not embracing what typically Stern does with Jeremy Packer and Zombie Yeti, although Jeremy was involved in a lot of the coloring and dynamic lighting of this art package. I think it's pretty special, and it looks great across all the packages. I think that the cab art is really nice. I would have preferred to see maybe a different left and a right, because you're paying all this money for Star Wars, and you might as well get something different on both sides. But ultimately, I'm pretty sure pros and premiums kind of do that in general anyway. They did not use foil on the LE because they said the coloring just didn't come out right when they used foil, because I think the foil actually creates a dark tone in the artwork, and I just didn't like how that looked. But the translite looks amazing. There was certainly some rumblings amongst people saying like, oh, I wish the premium was the pro, the premium was the LE, because the LE back glass is just Hoth. But it looks great with the blue side rails. I don't like what they did with the side rails with the laser cut for the AT-AT and the sticker. It might be a foil sticker, but the bottom line is, like, I think that the cab armor should embrace the brand, not an AT-AT in a sticker. There's a pop bumper, a very interestingly placed set of pop bumpers on the left and the right, and I think they could have put the Rebel Alliance and the Empire logo on there. So that's kind of got me leaning toward a premium a little bit. Great sculpts, fan layout, but a very, very approachable game. I think my biggest takeaway on this was like how approachable this experience is. And there were some questions early on like, hey, it's a Borg title, is it going to be difficult? And they said in the early presentation it was a lot more approachable, and that ended up turning out to be very true for a couple specific reasons. One thing we ended up comparing this to was they had all the Stern games out in the lobby. You could pretty much play most Sterns. And looking at the playfields, like the most comparable one was Venom, which is a little risky to throw out there as far as a comparison. But what is so different about this in Venom, well, what's the same about this in Venom is that the fan is pretty far back, like it's not as close up. But what's different about it is how approachable it is. Like Venom is a big setup game, obviously, right? That was part of the core design. But this game has 3 of the lanes have 3 lights in the insert area, or the lane going into whatever it is. Some of them are dashes, some of them are circles. But each one is like very clear, like, hey, I got to hit this 3 times to make something happen. One of them is a little bit more complex. It's the Death Star. Davey was on our show, or we were on the show a couple days ago, and he said, please no more Death Stars. Well, guess what, Davey? We got another Death Star. But that one's cool because you've got one hit to unlock it, and then to open the lock, and then you lock it, and then again and again. So it's about 6 hits. But that one's real straightforward. You've got a virtual lock on the left, which is 3 little green dashes or inserts, and then you've got the Sarlacc pit, which is multiple hits as well, and all of those are related to multi-balls. So that's super approachable, and you can really get it going. A lot of color. We've got on the LE, we've got the expression lighting included. On the premium, we've got the option for expression lighting, and on the pro, we have no option for expression lighting. One of the key takeaways for me is the lack of concessions that a pro owner is going to make. So we have extreme examples of concessions in games like Jaws and Foo Fighters, which is a complete lack of an upper playfield. Major mechanical component, cost savings or loss, depending on how you want to look at it. In the case of this game, you're missing probably 3 or 4 sculpts, which are obviously not effective and are going to affect your experience on the pro. Arguably some interestingly questionable sculpts in the head of Darth Vader and the head of a stormtrooper that I personally didn't like. But then you do have a missing TIE fighter sculpt that is amazing. But getting into the mechanics, I mean, the major feature is you're missing the force save in the pro. I guess there's some kind of variation of that, kind of Foo Fighters-esque, where you can still execute it, but you are missing that. But overall, like, you're going to get everything else, which is kind of reminiscent of what they decided to do on Harry Potter, which I think is good. And that really brings into question, what you're going for whenever you're making that decision. Getting back into the experience, George early was claiming the sound was over the top, and it certainly seemed like it was. I mean, it's hard to know for sure without bringing it into your own environment. But the claim was that the speakers are better in all of them. The amplifier is stronger in Spike 3. There's a tweeter in the LE that doesn't exist in prior LEs. But it sounded great. The audio is a mix of licensed John Williams stuff and original music. I think I heard one track that I'd never heard of before, but it seemed like it was high quality. But you've got a great light show for sure. There was a Darth Vader mode where it went all red. There was the Sarlacc where it was all orange. All that looked great. I wouldn't say that the lighting is all of a sudden JJP level lighting. I did notice that there were a couple I don't know. I mean, I can't really. They didn't talk about like whether every light was RGB now. There's some interesting lighting of the windows, I think, in the Millennium Falcon or some major ship that's pretty cool. Like this ambient kind of lighting of the center playfield that wasn't RGB, but frankly shouldn't be. The speaker lights look great. Sometimes I'm like, the LE's not pushing me on the speaker lights, but as Dustin mentioned to me on the way home, is like the speaker lights on this thing look amazing. It may be actually the relationship of the speakers sizing now to the screen, and it kind of creates this panel. The sculpt on the Millennium Falcon is excellent. It's right up the middle. There's a pretty cool shot up the middle with a rising and lowering larger ramp than say the one in Rush, but a pretty similar concept, and that's the hyperspace jump. I mentioned the pop bumpers that I really liked. Some questionable plastics hanging above the slings, but those didn't bother me too much. There is a sculpt of Jabba the Hutt that is illuminated like a kid's nightlight from underneath that I think was a bit questionable choice aesthetically. Also the Sarlacc pit, which is the ball that spins around, and oh my god, it spins for a really long time, frankly too long in my opinion. But that's an interesting mechanic, but the issue is it's just a piece of sculpted clear plastic. Like I think that's a big opportunity for mod makers, is to replace or augment the visual of going down the Sarlacc pit. The challenge is that sculpted piece of plastic is inclusive of the ramp going up to it, so it would be majorly time intensive to replace, I believe, as well as to just create in general. The other toy is the AT-AT, which is really cool. I think that they did a great job in the reveal video where they're capturing that scene where the metal strap wraps around and the AT-AT falls to the ground, and of course they're capturing that in the game. I think my biggest issue with that particular piece is that, you know, it's very small, the interactivity is cool, that is something that's lacking in the Pro, is the movement of that, but it's just not a big wow moment. I think what they maybe need to do is incorporate that more into the video screen. Maybe I need to be paying more attention to that. But it's a nice little mech, but it's not a major thing that I did notice while playing the game. It was more something that I noticed whenever they called it out in the preview video. So a nice little gimmick, but at the end of the day, it's not interacting with the ball and it's not adding a ton to the gameplay. So if you're a Star Wars super fan and you want a showpiece for Star Wars and the universe of Star Wars, and you want to experience the things you love about Star Wars in a pinball environment, I mean, I think this game will deliver. I can't see how it wouldn't long term. They've been making the other Star Wars game for like 10 years. They're going to make this one for 10 years. They're going to put a lot into it. John Borg has a lot of passion for it. He's like a kid in the candy store talking about that Force Save feature. So I think if you want to experience John's vision for the game, you need to pick up the premium at the very least. But this game will deliver for a Star Wars fan. I cannot see how it would not. So let's get into my choice for this game, because I do want it. I don't know my timing of the game. Of course, I'll probably consider playing the game or picking it up on the secondary, just because it's like, you know, we got a lot of machines moving through here. I do want a game for my house, but I am on a list for a Potter. I don't know where that would go exactly, but like, let's just assume that the Potter is not coming, or it's not coming into my house, and I need to fill this spot in my living room where I want to have a showpiece. Because I've had games, I don't know, I'm that guy. Like, I've had my Lebowski there, I've had Medieval Madness there, whatever, it doesn't matter. But there's something is going there because I don't have any games there, and I'm deciding whether or not to put this game in my living room. Therefore, the choice between a premium and LE is key, because I want to love this game. I want it to be a showpiece. So the LE, of course, like 13,000 versus what, 9,500. Like, that's a big jump. You're getting a unique art package. You're getting expression lighting, but I'm not pointing at anything else that I like really am excited about. Of course, there's always that thing. I was like, hey, I don't have that version. On the premium, I love the art package on it. I don't typically, or I haven't yet personally, powder coated a game, but this one I definitely would. That would be an interesting choice. I would want to make it super special. I would consider chrome on it because I think it would look amazing. If I got the LE, I do not like what's going on with the armor on the LE from that particular element with the AT-AT. I'd probably get past it. I like the color, but I'm a little bothered by that, especially if it's in my living room. Like, I do not want armor with like a sticker on it. I'll have to look at it one more time, but that definitely was a bit of a turnoff. So then I've got to make the choice of like, am I going to change the armor on an LE, which I think is a poor decision from a resale perspective. But that would be tough for me. So that's got me leaning towards a premium with chrome or whatever powder coating. Keep an eye on the mod market and maybe replace some of those sculpts to make those better. But I'm definitely, because of the price difference, unless I can pick up a LE for 10.5 later on down the road if I have the patience. I'm currently in the premium camp. I think it's a great package. And it would be something that I would be excited to own as an owner who's like in the mod track, where it's like, yeah, I'll put in the expression lighting, I'll put in some side art, I'll upgrade a couple of things, yeah, man, I love what you guys are doing, Stern. I mean, I hope that you guys feel like this has been an honest review. Carrie asked me, it wasn't poking me for information, but was like, hey, what's your 1 out of 10? And I told him a solid 8. I think that we'll see if that solid 8 maintains based on a couple of things with gameplay and me getting into it. But we're always asking for more, but there was no price increase here, and we are getting more in a couple categories. No major mech, but I think that maybe that's okay, because I think that the force save thing is innovative, and I love to see them innovative. And one last thing, Davey, my partner on In Before the Lock, is going to take a look at some of the footage that I recorded. So he's going to be in your shoes, looking at the game, not in person, but across the internet. And let's see what he thinks about this game, and ultimately where those thoughts line up with your thoughts in seeing the game for the first time.
Hey guys, Davey from Stumble or Pinball here. Rob and I thought it might be a cool idea to get my reactions on the new Star Wars game by Stern. He sent me the video and we're just going to do some live reactions on it now. Let's get into it. Maybe Death Star there, Millennium Falcon there. Not sure what this is yet. Looking at the new Stern 3 setup here. So wider screen, new speakers. So that does mean that the existing sort of speaker light systems that people have got aren't going to work on this new Spike 3 system. They've got tweeters and probably a mid-range there, so not combined into the one speaker. Not sure I like the look of that with the double speaker lights there. Got a view of the side art now. So this is obviously on the LE. I mean, that's awesome. I like it. Got a bit of a view of the video there. Obviously doing the text crawl in typical Star Wars fashion. Back glass looks nice. It kind of looks smaller than usual. Possibly it is because of the screen size. Not really keen on the Stormtrooper helmet and the Darth Vader helmet. I think that's a bit... I mean, everything else is like sort of in scale for a starship battle. The helmets there just make no sense. That's a bit weird. Okay, there's the Jabba. Yeah, why is Jabba glowing? I don't know. Jabba doesn't glow. That's weird. Okay, we've got an AT-AT who's moving there. That's cool. It's obviously run on a server or something that's pulling him down by the legs. Yeah, happy with that. That looks great. Not keen on the glowing Jabba. That's lame. And what's he doing? Just like stuck in the middle of nowhere as well. Really not keen on those figures. Let's take a look at the case. We've got a fair bit of Star Wars footage at back there. That looks like footage from A New Hope, which is interesting considering that the game's Fall of the Empire, which was sort of supposed to be focusing on, I guess, new content post Return of the Jedi. In some ways that's a bit weird because they've sort of already covered this ground with earlier games. Likewise with the Death Star, right? Like, the Death Star's in the exact same position as it was on the previous game. We're not covering new ground here. That flashing Jabba just irritates me, man. What is that doing? Hang on, so is that new? That's new callouts by the sounds of things. C-3PO callouts. Okay, that's that's not great. That doesn't sound like C-3PO, man. I used to have a read-along record when I was growing up that you sort of played, and it had actors doing the voices of the characters as well. It sounds like that. Okay, let's have a look at the art here. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Possibly not as iconic as like the Empire Strikes Back image that we all know and love, but kind of cool. Kind of cool. Okay, so there's Jabba, the glowing Jabba. I mean, look, they should have just uplit it or something, put some lighting around him. Mood lighting. Why did they have to light him up? Okay, single pop bumper in the middle playfield. That's interesting. Okay, pop bumper on the right-hand side too. So we've got pop bumpers in weird places on this game. That's really interesting. Nice to see them keeping that format. I quite like the randomness and the chaos of a pop bumper mid-playfield. Millennium Falcon looks good. That's a good sculpt. I don't know whether it's the lighting, but it looks like the lightsabers are lit up there. Okay, so it looks like we've got the same art on both the left and right hand side of the cabinets on the premium. That is a big miss, man. That is something that people were well pissed off about when it came to King Kong. They should not have done that. I'm not seeing a major mech here that's gonna make this a must-have game. I mean, the art's really nice. Those back glasses are lovely. Okay, so we got a cup-like diner, by the sounds of things, that's locked by a drop target with Salacious Crumb on it, and the drop target pops up and down again. So again, it's a feature, obviously, but it's not like a heavy-duty mech, is it? Okay, so that's cool. So it's a variation on the dead flip, basically, which was also a very cool and fun feature. And they've incorporated a magnet into it as well. I mean, look, that sounds cool, and that is a unique thing that's never been done before. So yeah, hats off to that. I'm not seeing a lot of new content on that video screen. Mostly it's just original trilogy clips, but it looks like they didn't use a lot of the animation team, which is disappointing from my perspective. So on the Pro, they've saved one coil and one servo by removing those features. Wow.
And the Pro doesn't have the magnet.
Pro does not have the magnet.
No Jedi.
Triple wow.
You do have a ball save on the Pro, though.
Right.
When the hell things are
But
You got a ball save, yeah, like every other game ever invented in the last 20 years.
they have.
Okay, guys, just rounding up. I think the art is good. I'd heard rumors that it was exceptional before this. I probably wouldn't go that far. I think it's nice. I think it conveys the theme well. But it doesn't, if you sort of compare it to games like Evil Dead, for instance, which a lot of people are doing, I don't think it's on that level of art in terms of the cabinet. The playfield looks fine as well. I know that the people who did the work on this haven't done playfield art before. It was mentioned that it could be a little bit sparse. I agree with that. I think there's some nice elements to it, like there could be some UV going on there with the lightsabers. I'm not sure, it's hard to tell in the video. I think the game is missing a large mech. I think that's one of its biggest issues. It will probably be fun to shoot. It's kind of, in some ways, giving me Led Zeppelin vibes, just in terms of its sparseness. I think the light-up Jabba is bad. I'm not keen on the Darth Vader and Stormtrooper heads. I think the Pro is incredibly stripped down by the sounds of things, especially considering what they've pulled out of that. They're not even expensive components to begin with that they've removed. I think the Death Star lock is something that has essentially been done before, just a slight variation of it. It's even in the same place as their last game. And the video assets look lacking to me as well, considering that they've just pulled stuff from the first 3 movies. Not the best, I've got to say. I'm hoping it plays well. Cheers. Okay, bye.